I'm faster, I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap and my name is XRP. Yeah, I get everybody by surprise with my bucket. Everybody by surprise, XRP. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. I get everybody by surprise with my bucket. Everybody by surprise, XRP. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. Bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked now. Bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked now. I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap and my name is XRP. I'm faster, I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap and my name is XRP.
Hello everybody, let's get started. 22 concurrent viewers. That must be my greatest low when I started a live stream. I have no financial interests, I have no sponsored links, and I don't want donations, please. And I have nothing prepared today, so I'm really all yours. But telling from my last live streams in the past almost 3 weeks, it seems all questions have kind of disappeared. There's not too many questions anymore. Who created this hymn? Search for, well, actually let me do that for you. YouTube. I will send you the link. XRP Frangle. So here you go with a link. I asked him for permission to use it, and he confirmed that I may use it. Grüezi, Jan. Hallo Klaus. Edgar Zupkins, you must be a newer follower. I don't remember you. When Moon? Soon. No questions from me. So, well, I mean, Doc Callum. Hi, Doc Callum. No problem, sir. Felipe G. Is that Spanish? Actually, I do have a story to tell you. It's rather a bit... Actually, I could tell you 3 stories. One is we have a broken, or we had a broken shade in our living room, like this thing you let down in front of the window so that the sun cannot come in. And I had been, it's one of these where you have to, I don't know how it's called, kurbeln in German. And I have already replaced one of these kurbel before, and my wife kind of broke the whole thing. It didn't move anymore. So basically what I did is I took away this kurbel and tried to figure out what the problem is, but obviously I couldn't figure it out. And then outside the window I took away this rail where the shade comes down in, so that I could have a little bit more playroom on top. And these like rails were like on the top were like curved on one side, cause the shade would come down like that. And I was wondering, why the fuck is it doing that? And then we could take it down. I thought, okay, now we put this kurbel on again, and I mounted everything again, and it didn't work again. So I told my wife, okay, I think that the shade is coming down the wrong way. This like roll on top, it's kind of going down like that and making a curve. That's why it's on the top, this rail was curved. It came down from the roll from behind and had to make a curve. And I told my wife, okay, if we let it down totally and just continue in the same direction, it will roll up in the other way around. And that's what it actually did, and now it will come down straight down. It's like falling down when we leave it down and when we let it down. And I don't believe that guy who put that before must have been a freaking idiot. So that's story number one. I was really happy that I could repair that whole thing myself, because I'm usually totally kind of like I have two left hands. That's one story. The other story around my trading bot, I think I fixed finally the last bugs. It's not so easy to create something which consumes something from which you have basically little to no documentation. What I'm speaking about is Bitstamp exchange. I mean, basically all the exchanges which offer APIs, they offer the API, but what they don't tell you is how the system actually works. And in Bitstamp's case, it's like that if you kind of create an order, even if it's an instant order, which should be kind of handled instantly, it'll take a few, sometimes, I don't know, maybe up to a minute or two until that order shows up in the transactions, in my transactions. And because I don't know the price it has executed, but I need to know the price for my logic to work properly, I need to wait for that transaction to show up. And as easy as that sounds now, but it creates kind of conflicting issues, because on one hand I have to loop the logic, each trade which comes in I have to react upon. On the other hand, I cannot, as long as I don't have those new balances ready and the last price. And this and similar stuff I had been dealing with in the past, but I think now I'm pretty close to have it run flawlessly. And in the past 4 days, I think 3 or 4 days, it has been doing its work quite good, way better than in the past, because I have been also fixing a bug which slipped in from my side when I changed the whole thing from procedural programming to object-oriented programming. But this bug has been fixed, and I'm pretty confident that I will produce some nice profit with it. And then the third thing, and this is actually something which happened today. As you all know, I lost my job, and in Switzerland you have to kind of go to an official government department, talk to them, and then there are some rules and policies you have to comply with, so that you actually start receiving the money more or less immediately when your money starts ceasing to come from your non-existing employer anymore. So that for me basically means I have to apply for jobs. I think, I don't know, it's 10 per week or 10 per month, something like that. I think 10 per month, if I remember properly. At least that used to be the threshold figure. So today I was thinking about how should I apply. Because usually you send a CV and an invitation letter, and you send a more or less actual image of you. Look at me. Doesn't really make a nice image, and I don't have any up-to-date other picture from myself. Then I had the idea, maybe I should do something totally different, put a picture from Luna or anything else but a human being, and kind of also bring an explanation why I'm doing that. And while I was talking to my wife about that, I actually had the idea, maybe it would actually, because I'm in IT and most my jobs had to do with programming, and I really like programming. It's really something I'm kind of flourishing. I thought maybe it would be really cool if I could kind of send my CV in a kind of an interactive way, like send them, if it's electronically, send them just some code, and then they have to put the code into a HTML file and start it up, and could read my CV there, and I could build some fancy stuff in there as well. And while I was thinking that, I thought, well, maybe I could make it even more interactive and have them kind of, I don't know, click buttons or whatever, so that once they hover or click somewhere, new like more additional data about my CV pops up. And then I was thinking, but how the hell will I be doing that? Because I didn't want to install Tomcat, the Java application server, on my Amazon AWS server. I wanted to go with something totally simple. So I was looking around, and I figured there is actually a tool, and I think on Ripple, on xrpl.org, they actually also use that technology somehow. I think it's when it's regarding the Ripple API. If you want to connect to the XRP ledger by API, then they propose that you use NodeJS. JS stands for JavaScript. And incidentally, that was the interesting thing, in some of those jobs I just scrolled through in the last 10 days, they were asking for Node.js knowledge. No idea. So basically today I stumbled across that again, and I figured it was actually very simple. I came across a tutorial with a, hold on, I will close the window. I came across a tutorial for a for a server WebSocket application, you could, that's just one example, create a chat application with it, or a new WhatsApp or whatever. Everything which is kind of connected all the time. I will quickly explain the difference. A normal web page, you enter the URL, hit enter, and the web server serves you one time the web page, and then he forgets that you're there. In WebSockets it's a little bit different. You tell the server I'm here, and the server sends you from then on information like stock ticker, or in terms of WhatsApp, as soon as the server receives a message for you, he tells your iPhone or whatever other phone you're using, please pull that new information so that you know who sent you what. So the difference between normal websites and WebSocket is, one is just a one-time connection, the other is like a connection which is made open and then stays open, and the server just sends until either the server or the client closes the connection. And within 30 minutes I had a really simple application running, like installed NodeJS, actually I made two examples even, like backend, where you basically couldn't see anything unless you opened the console. And even, actually I could even show you. Shall I? Let me do that. Terminal. Maybe you're interested in that. Maybe not. Because it's really interesting. CD downloads NodeJS. Node web server. Then here we open hold on, downloads NodeJS, open with Safari, genau. So now I need to share my screen, window capture, display capture. What's that? Crop to window. WebSocket playground. So I will try to make it all the money. I had to do some posing, obviously. So that's my web page. The code is actually, let me show you the code as well. The code is actually freaking simple. I will make that a little bit smaller. I have to quickly change my workspace. So basically that's the code I'm using, like 27 lines of code, and besides 2 lines everything was copied, but basically it's just to actually show that it works. And I had other modules, the client and the server. You don't see that. The client and the server backend with no front end, and this is the server which I'm actually running here. So basically let's check that. I will run the server. That's actually freaking easy. So now it's running. Now I will reload that page. It will connect. It will give me that message, and it will basically tell to the the client, the web page will tell to the server, hi, this is the web client. And for Sonia, I added hello Sonia. That's basically these two lines here. And the web server actually, I could also show that quickly. The web server actually no, that is actually the web server. The client usually just, if he receives a message on data, I think sorry, here. If he receives a message, he just puts out an alert. So, let's continue with that. So I close that message, I get another message, this is the web client, is like the repetition. That's usually the server relays the message I'm sending to him. So that's why I see that message twice, okay? And now I have here a button. Let me make that smaller so that we can see. That's not what I wanted. That's a bit stupid. Because I somehow have to click and then that window here goes away. Never mind. I will click that button now. Where bist du? Who are you? And disconnected. I have to reload it again. Sorry. Now I click that button and I actually send to the server Ich bin Michael. It's like a simple test, but we can see that the server received the message and relayed it back to me. Ich bin Michael. And that whole thing took me actually I guess less than 30 minutes. I mean, it's totally a raw thing. But that I could get that whole thing to work within 30 minutes, that made me quite, I'd say, proud. And the funny thing is, now I can even apply for jobs where they require NodeJS knowledge, because I know now how to work it, and all the rest is kind of piece of cake for me. So, I hope you liked that. What was that? The digital dollar was stripped from the bill 4 hours ago. From which bill? Content consumed. Well, I don't know. I just have high doubts that you could plan anything like that. The global stock market crash and the pandemic. I mean, that's something you cannot really plan. And according to Slim Shady, according to BIS at what's the name? WEF, World Economic Forum in Davos, WEF. There was a guy from BIS talking to some other guy, and he actually told that the banks are kind of quite stable, way more stable than 12 years ago during the last financial crash. Thank you, Jan, for that nice story you're telling. Bill Pitts, well, basically, I guess you don't quite understand it right. I mean, those using ODL, but it's not actually those, but those helping those using ODL, like exchanges, they will, on the exchanges, there will need to be bought XRP, bought, not sold, bought, in order for it to be able to be sent to the other exchange in the receiving country. And there we need market makers. And I tell you, I read that somewhere, but I don't remember where, so I cannot give you that quote. But the quote was like that: a market maker usually makes a profit, and I think it was meant in throughout the year, in the same amount of money he's kind of putting into his market making. So a guy who is investing 100,000 to make markets will make 100,000 a year, and a company using 50 million will make 50 million. And we are here talking about huge payments. So there needs to be market makers who will have invested in the tens and hundreds of millions. I mean, we're not talking about they're making market just for one transaction. Maybe they're making market for 20 transactions a day, or 50 or whatever. And you can rest assured that by using, let's say, 500 million, 500 million for market making, and making that profit throughout the year, a bank would be quite happy. I'm pretty sure about that. So I really don't worry about who is selling or buying, because the buying is definitely clear. That's the ones who need to send XRP, and the buyers, the market makers, they will make anyway enough money with their market making, and they will actually sell to those guys needing to send XRP the other direction. Julian Balatoni, no, I don't see. I wouldn't know how they would. I mean, that would be, I don't know, like telling early Amazon investors once Amazon gets to $1,000, like telling them, oh, I'm sorry, but you have to turn your stock, your equity of Amazon to us. You cannot sell it now at 1,000 times higher price. I mean, that would I really don't know where all those weird ideas are coming from. I know some people will be getting rich, but I told that about a year ago. In US, every year, I don't know the figures, but I think it was close to 1 million. Like, way many people get millionaire in US every year. So a few thousand or 10,000 or whatever more thousand millionaires through XRP, there is definitely enough money for that. And don't forget, guys, I mean, it's wealth. It's not money you'll have. It's wealth. Like I forgot the name. What's the Jeff Bezos, the Amazon founder? He is just so rich because he has so much Amazon stock. If he wants to buy a new, I don't know, yacht or something for 50 million, then he needs to sell Amazon stock, but he will not do that every day. He will do that maybe once or twice a year, or even less. The same as you. I mean, the moment, I'm not talking about real figure, I just give you, this is just example figures. Let's assume I'm making, in the next 24 months, 100 million worth with XRP. For my daily life and a little bit of luxury, I guess with 500,000 I'd be totally fine already per year. And then we have some ideas and projects we wanna spend some money on. That's maybe another 500,000, I don't know, like the first projects we know, until we figure out what to do with the rest of the money. But I mean, the other 99 million of those 100 million I'll have will sit there and appreciate until I know what to do with it. Like, I don't know, build trees in Africa or whatever. And then I will cash out again as much as I need to build those trees or whatever we'll be doing with the money. But I will definitely... What's the purpose of cashing out everything? That's as stupid as thinking Jeff Bezos would any time throughout his whole life cash out all his Amazon. He anyway cannot spend that amount of money. No one can. It's literally impossible. Show me how you... I mean, you can buy an airplane for 50 million. Why? Just to have one and to have spent 50 million. Rather give it to poor people, then I can at least understand it. But just for your I don't know, entertainment and luxury requirements, you will be happy with 1 million per year. Easy. After the second Lambo, you will get tired of additional Lambos, I'll tell you. Doc Callum, well, actually, it's a good question. Doc Callum is asking me if I'm really applying or just applying that I have applied in order to get the money. Well, actually, it's a bit of both. Basically, I'm pretty sure in very short time I will not need the money anymore from the government. However, now I'm in a role where I do need to apply in order to receive the money. But it's not really I do need to apply to find really a job. And that gives me a total liberty to apply to jobs and to apply in my way to certain jobs in a manner or fashion that I may find actually a company which is actually really interested in my creativity, in my ideas, where I kind of could live up, and maybe they would employ me just for 50% to I don't know, become their idea creator and team leader or something. I really don't know. I like to work. It's not that I don't like to work, but I like to work in an environment where my qualities are appreciated. And show me another guy who got, I think it was even less than 30 minutes, NodeJS server client application up and running. I mean, that's freaking amazing. I was like, wow. and I will actually use that information for my application as well, to tell them it took, to show them how much time I mean, in programming, maybe in other cases as well, but especially in programming, if you want to learn to program, as long as you know to program a language, learning a new language is usually not very complicated. You open a tutorial, how do I print hello world? How do I create an if condition, a while or for loop? Done. Then you do some tests, with type conversion from int to float, from float to string, and from date time to string, and the other way around, and stuff like that, until you get some feeling for those data types. In Python, the language where I'm programming my trading bot, they have a very strong I don't know, it's a type, dict and lists. To manage lists and dicts is freaking easy in Python. I think that's one of the reasons why it's so popular. Also, just before it became popular for the web, like for running scripts on a Unix system, because it can handle like lists so well. That's, I think, where it came from, but honestly I don't know. But then it's actually, you have an idea what to develop, and then you look up on the internet. When I need to know how do I do that, I Google, and within like 2 minutes I know how to do it. And after the third or fourth time applying that methodology to a similar, I don't know, problem I'm having, I'm actually not needing the internet anymore. I know it for free. It's actually quite simple. And why am I telling all that actually? Because Doc Callum was asking me if I'm applying just to apply, or so that I can say I applied. And that whole programming is actually really interesting. I mean, I have freaking great. I know programmers who are like way better than me in terms of, how should I explain that? In terms of, let me make the example with Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher was one of the best Formula 1 car, Ayrton Senna, if you so want, or Lewis Hamilton, are some of the best Formula 1 drivers there are or there is. However, that doesn't mean they know how to adjust their engine. They might be able to tell the technician, please make the brake a little bit stronger. But how the technician is actually doing that, those three guys are not interested. They just know it needs to brake a little bit harder, or I don't know, the suspension needs to be a tiny bit softer at certain speeds, maybe only. I really don't know. And then they tell those things to the technician. Now I know programmers who would know both driving and actually managing the engine and like the whole machine. But as I can mostly do the programming without needing to know how the machine works, I think I'm actually anyway quite a good programmer, because the ideas I'm creating and the processes I'm applying to solve stuff, at least in the areas where I have been dealing, honestly speaking, I have little to, I guess in the whole 27 years I'm programming now, I met one guy who I call maybe a better programmer. Definitely, of him I knew in that engine area. But if he's also programming nicely for the end user, that's another story. And usually I have the solution for the end user in, like, I want to make him feel comfortable. Like in every I told my wife recently, the best products are most of the times easy ones, easy to use ones, and also nice looking ones. Now the really freaking nice looking ones are usually crap to use. Like when Apple brought out the iPhone, everyone was laughing at them. But it turned out that this is like the form factor and the way to go forward from then on. They were early mover and they kind of defined how a smartphone looks today. I mean, can you remember those times when Nokia had those smartphones to like, I don't know, fold? Why would I need a foldable? What does that help me? It makes it clunkier, it makes it inaccessible, because I have to always open it first in order to hit some keys. I really don't see the purpose, but it was totally like almost everyone wanted to have one of these foldable like Nokias at the time. I didn't understand it. I really didn't see the point. Just because everyone has one. The same in moving back to the crypto area. Everyone is recommending Ledger Nano. Why? It's a pain in the ass. You cannot carry around with you that USB stick. It's just too bulky. If you want to have hold on your and be able to manage your crypto, like every time you're out, then do yourself a favor and look into Cool Wallet. It's like credit card sized. It's like 0.6 millimeters. It's like a credit card. You can actually put it. I will show you that. Hold on. Most guys walk around, or people, not only guys, let me show it actually even better. So please don't laugh, right? That's the purse of my wife. Thick and bulky. That's my purse. It has like, I don't know, 15 or 10 cards, like ID, EC, driving card, Visa card, health insurance card, stuff like that. That's it. You could easily fit your Cool Wallet in here, and it'll just work, and you could have it all the time with you. Why would I need a Ledger wallet? Just because it has like first mover advantage over any other, because it was the first. with that reasoning, everyone touting Ledger being the best, you could tell them, why don't you invest in Bitcoin? It also has first mover advantage. Just because something was first doesn't mean it's the best. I mean, usually it's in case when Apple brings out something new, but even there, it's not always a guarantee that Apple products succeed. They also had failures in the past. Like some of you guys may recall the Newton device. The Newton was like the first personal digital assistant which was freaking intelligent. Like you could draw on it and it would, if you drew a kind of a circle, it made the circle really round for you and stuff, and it could propose dates and people. It was like today's smartphones, like not like little bit like freaking cool, but it was like a total failure. It was like 15 or 20 years too early for the device. But I'm pretty sure, on the other hand, that a lot of technology which was developed for the Newton was reused for the iPhone. I'm 100% sure. So that was a little bit the longer answer on your question, Doc Callum. Why? Because I really like programming, and it really, I mean, from the amount of time I'm using to answer that question, you can see that I really like to develop applications, because I really think I'm having a perfect fine-tuned balance between user experience and optimized code. And content consumer. Well, the idea is that in the future the price will not drop 50% anymore. That it will drop, maybe if it's a huge drop, 5%. But that'll be, I expect XRP to be as stable as fiat today, like within 2% or less daily, because there will be so much volume going through. There will be literally, it won't be possible. I mean, basically, you could try to drop the price of US dollar, sell 10 million of US dollars and hoping the price would drop. It wouldn't drop, because there's literally trillions of dollars being bought and sold every day. So the 10 millions is like a fart in the forest. It will go unnoticed. No one will have so many, I don't know, XRP or money to be able to crash the market. It will be literally impossible. There will be jumps upwards when the market realizes that they will need, I don't know, like 50% more liquidity. Then the price will jump, maybe, I don't know, 30% or so. And with that 30%, even more sellers will want to sell their XRP, which would bring eventually the 50% increased liquidity. I have to check the Witzewind exam. I saw his tweet yesterday, but I didn't follow up on it today because I was busy with my NodeJS and other stuff today. But actually, talking about Witzewind, I was talking to Manuel, one of my Swiss followers today. We had quite a long phone call today together, and I basically was telling him the Tipbot application, as cool as it sounds, But it's basically freaking simple. As long as you know how to run a WebSocket server, now I know, it took me 30 minutes, and you know how to access Twitter API, and that you can figure out, you can read everything. Basically, Tipbot, XRP Tipbot, it's just a database keeping track of people having an amount of XRP defined by destination tag. It's the same as when you send to someone who wants to receive on an exchange XRP, then you always need to send to use the destination tag so that the XRP can be allocated to that person receiving it. It's the same on XRP Tipbot. He just keeps a list of names with amount of XRPs and their destination tags. If I now send Jan 5 XRP on Twitter, he uses with this WebSocket server application, he filters those tweets on Twitter. That will be the easy part. And then he just needs to parse the tweet properly to see whom sent it and to whom does it go. And then he just needs to exchange the value on the database from one to the other, and that's it. I guess, I don't know. There is not even, there is a web page interface, but I think within a month that should be doable, easy to do. Exactly, Anne. Kevin Patterson, well, wait and see. I'm still very bullish. Maybe not 4 digits by June, but we'll see. I mean, in about a week, SBI should come alive. And just to give you some figures, SBI has, I think it was told, 23 million potential users. And people in Japan are crazy about crypto. Let's assume 10% of them are buying XRP via SBI. That'll make easy double, like almost the same, if not double the amount of people who do already have an XRP wallet, which can be seen on the Ledger Exposed website from Wind. It's like from those almost 2 million accounts we have now, like over 1 million is below 500 XRP. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if those between 20 and 500 XRP are actually, like, the majority of them is like just wallets with the base reserve and nothing else. And imagining that, then we will see just on XRP a huge amount of money coming in. I'm still very bullish. No, Mr. Mike, I don't have information on the digital dollar, and it's also totally unimportant because the bridge will be needed anyway, if it's digital or not. I really don't get the hype around central bank digital currencies. For, like, Joe Average will not even know that he's using a CBD. The dollar will not be called digital dollar. It will still be the dollar. The user will not even realize it. Otherwise, he would have two currencies, and that'll be like, you cannot replace a currency. I mean, you can, but it'll take some time. I don't know how long it took with the euro. I hope so, Satan. Yes, that SBI will. Well, that's what people are telling me that Crypto Eerie told that they will go live in April. Beard still growing. Well, ODL they are obviously not yet using. Xcurrent for sure. For sure. And the 300 customers, I think we need to so that's not a new information, Mike. I think Ripple states it, they have 300 customers, but not that 300 organizations are on RippleNet. They say they're Ripple customers. And the difference in that is that I asked Navin Gupta, is a customer from Temenos or Finastra who can use RippleNet through the integration of RippleNet in the products of those companies, Finastra and Temenos, is that also counted as a Ripple customer? And he told me no. And I've been telling that for over a year now. I am pretty sure that over 1,000 banks are in the meantime on RippleNet. That's 100% also the key driver behind RippleNet Home, because in order for banks to be able to correspond with other banks, they also need to have this due diligence process done properly. I don't know, maybe it's also, maybe that's the reason. Maybe they wanted to make sure that from, I don't know, 1,000 banks, there is at least, I don't know, I knew the formula to calculate that. I think it's, the amount of connections, I think, is n times n minus 1 divided by 2. Because 4 people, the connections is 4 times 3. 12 divided by 6, because if it's like a bidirectional connection, if we do not count one way and the other way separately, then we have to divide by 2. So A with B, A with C, A with D is 3. B with C and B with D is 5, and C with D is 6. So the formula is correct. And maybe they're waiting for, I don't know, some threshold numbers of those of connecting bands, and that might have been the reason for, I really don't know, but I know it'll come, and it'll come pretty sure as a surprise. Of that I'm sure. Actually, I want to thank you guys, even though I had no plan today, and I think that was the shortest chat. It's like from top of the screen to bottom of the screen, not even 2 pages, 1.5 pages, and yet I was talking a lot about my situation, about my little projects I'm doing. I hope it was interesting for you guys. Don't waver, I think it's called. Don't struggle. I mean, I'm saying that for months now. The rails are set, the sails are set, everything is set. We just need to wait for something, but don't ask me why and when that something will happen, and then it'll go quick. And of that I'm still expecting 3 to 4 digits this year. June might be a bit tough, but with a bit of luck we may see 2 digits already by June, maybe end of June or something. So, last question and then I will say goodbye. It was actually a really nice surprise that there was, even though it was basically just me talking today, but I hope it was anyway interesting for you guys. Chris S. Yeah, well, actually, there is maximum 50 times more XRP calculated by drops compared to Bitcoin. So I don't know, your 40s maybe about the current supply minus escrow or something, but that's about 160 could be easy the number now. Totally correct. That's, you nailed it, Chris. I mean, 160 is freaking, it will not help. I mean, damn it. 800, the minimum for, I think my calculations way back, I think it was like 14 months back or so, for 1% of the market share was already like way above $600. For one tiny percent of the market. I mean, now don't think that the curve is linear or exponential. I mean, the curve will flatten somehow, but it will go up. So like 5%. It's not 5. Doesn't literally mean 5 times higher price than what was needed at 1%. It could mean twice the price as it was required at 1% of the market share. But there might be some fluctuations there. I mean, you could also say it's my logic, Chris S. I mean, I've been actually telling that for months and almost years. So, 1 hour is gone. One last question. In the meantime, I will say goodbye. I'm sorry that I was a little bit more talking today about like other projects and my personal situation, but maybe it gives you also a little bit of a different perspective in seeing me, in actually knowing that I'm not talking bullshit. Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe some of you guys might have been able to build this client server application in 30 minutes as well. I really don't know. For me, that was like a freaking huge success. I thought like 10 days ago when I saw the first programming job advertisements, NodeJS required. I cannot apply, I have no clue. Now I can, after 30 minutes of diving into that subject, I can now say I'm freaking ready to build a client server application, because it's freaking easy. You just need to know how to do it. And the fine tuning then you will anyway be doing on the project. Enjoy your stories. Thank you, content consumer. That's really good. And I also hope that you guys maybe got a little bit different, I don't know, perspective about me today. Maybe one last, there is no last question. Let me give you, coming back to my job application, making it a little bit more dynamic. My wife told me, I think it was over a year, maybe 2 years ago, a really funny, actually an interesting but also funny story about the guy in Brazil. He didn't have a job. I don't know what kind of work he was doing, but he knew wherever he would apply for a job, because there were so many applicants, it would be like really luck to make the move from the secretary's desk to the boss's desk, who will make the decision. Like from 100 applications, maybe 5 make that way from the first desk to the second. And he was thinking, how can I improve my chances? And he made actually quite a simple, and he only did that really literally few times. What he did is he put on clothes from a delivery service and he brought a box of donuts. And within the box he put his application, I don't know, letter and stuff. And the donuts, he was 100% sure, would be delivered to the boss, who would make the decision right away. And it happened like that. And like very fast he actually got a job. And that's, if I can convince an employer, an open-minded employer with like an affinity to guys who bring new ideas, maybe I would like to continue to work for a few months or so, maybe half time, I really don't know. So that's it. Thanks guys. I am really happy that you joined. It was a little bit less people than usual, but nevertheless it was quite interesting today, even though I heard myself talking about myself mostly only. Stay tuned. I'm pretty sure our moment is not too far away. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye.